Hi guys, it's Tess. This is just your reminder to please subscribe or follow us wherever you're listening to our podcast today. Also, please feel free to send in any stories about your mom. Our email is going to be whatmomsay@gmail.com. That's WHATD as in dog. momsay@gmail.com. Also, we had a little bit of a technical issue again at the end of the episode, so there's just going to be a still shot of us with our guest while he wraps up his last story. So we apologize for the inconvenience, but we hope you enjoy the episode. Bye.
Are you gonna keep that in?
I don't know. We'll see. Hello, welcome back to another episode of What Mom Say. I am Tess.
What was that?
Just say your goddamn name.
I'm Hannah.
I don't know. I'm just trying to mix it up.
Okay.
Make each intro inviting and interesting.
I'm Hannah, the one not doing an ethnically ambiguously offensive accent.
I didn't mean for it to slip into that. But my friend did say that one of us needs to speak in an accent. So
what are you gonna rip with? What are you gonna go with?
Hello, it's me. I am Tess.
What is that one?
It's very French.
Okay.
The way I speak is Frenchy.
Okay.
Oui, oui.
You could just speak in French completely.
Vraiment, je suis Tess. Bienvenue de le podcast What Mom Say. Je suis très bête. Et ma sœur est très amusante
et jolie.
Peut-être. Dépend. Depends on the fucking day. I wonder how accurate that was and how good it was.
Okay, I'll send this part to my friend who speaks really good French and ask him.
Why would you not send it to our dad, who is our literal first French
He's
teacher?
I don't have to send it to him. He listens to every episode.
Papa, Can you text me right now and tell me if that was good? Thanks.
Mom called me yesterday and she had listened to our most recent episode and she said she thought it was really sad that our partners don't listen to the podcast.
Why?
She was like, that's really sad. And I was like, I don't really think so. It doesn't bother me.
I actually think it's like, I feel better that like not another person who is one of the closest people in my life is listening to the podcast. Like, it's already really nerve-wracking that both of our parents are listening and like probably some other family members.
Yeah. I agree. I said it's kind of nice. It gives me I feel like a little bit more free. Not that I think I'm saying anything crazy that she would disapprove of, but I'm like a bird. I want to fly away.
I don't know where my hole is. I don't know where my hole is. Can you fuck it? That's my version of the song.
Yeah. So she thought it was sad, but then I said, well, Nikki doesn't like podcasts. And she's like, yeah, but it's your podcast. She should want to listen to yours. And I said, the comparison I made is like, well, I might not necessarily want to watch her play like a whole round of golf all the time. Because that's not my
once a week
interest. Yeah.
Well, it's also like I love my boyfriend. I love being around him and talking with him, but I do live with him, and I'm like, I don't know if I need to add another hour of listening every week. So I have no sadness about him not listening to the podcast weekly.
I agree.
Yeah. And if you are listening, I love you.
Oh yeah. Love you too. To my partner.
Oh, I was like,
not
excuse
to
me? No, you can love him.
I don't know if we're there yet.
What? I love Nikki.
Okay. Yeah, I love him for you.
What the hell?
I don't think I would tell him that I love him.
He says that to you. He says, I love Hannah and Nikki all the time.
Okay, I love Brian.
God damn it.
Are you happy now?
Yeah.
Before you didn't want me to, and now you do.
Well, and like the way that I want you to.
Okay, yes.
Like, I love Nikki like a sister.
Okay, I love Brian like that's your boyfriend. I don't want a brother.
Fair enough.
I think Brian is awesome.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I respect him.
I respect him.
I put respect on his name.
Yeah.
I want to tell you a weird thing I came across on TikTok yesterday that sent me in a.
What did you come across? I don't want to know what you came across.
Okay. A weird thing
How'd you get that momentum?
You don't have that momentum? That's crazy.
Ew. Okay.
A weird thing I saw on that sent me into like a rabbit hole, which is this girl. Maybe like this might change our plant care for Frankie actually.
Oh, okay.
But probably not. This girl was talking about, she was showing her plants before and after, the leaves on her plants before and after, using her menstrual blood to water the plant.
No.
And she's like, look at the leaves before. They're way smaller. Look at the leaves after. They're like huge, healthy, like they're blossoming. And she had 2 plants where she showed like examples of this. And I was like, excuse me? And then I looked in the comments. Everyone was so supportive and like,
No.
yes, I do this too. Blah, blah, blah.
Feminism
blah, blah.
has gone too far.
So then I was like, what is this? And someone in the comments was like, this is the most supportive comment section I've ever seen. But there is like a movement of women
Free bleeding into their pants? Plants?
No, we free bleed into our pants. These women are doing it in their plants. No, it's like you have to mix the blood with water.
Yeah, so
Like,
how do you know
can't
it's not just water?
You can't just do like straight blood. Like that would not be good, apparently. But there's a movement of women that are doing this. I found like a Reddit thread about someone asking about this, and apparently some plant fertilizers have dried animal blood. So I think there's something about blood and the properties in blood, but I was like,
This is the Frankie most bizarre. Is a vampire?
Yeah, maybe.
I guess that kind of makes sense because when you decompose, like plants eat that shit up.
Yeah,
they eat and leave no crumbs. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just thought that was like a weird, interesting rabbit hole. So, listeners, daughters in the comments, are you using your period blood to water your plants?
Guys, if you're not using your period blood to feed your plants, are you even doing it right? Are you even humaning correctly?
I guess I kind of liked the idea that the blood can serve some sort of purpose to give back to the earth and Mother Nature, but realistically, if I picture myself doing this, I
want to throw up.
I don't know if I can do that.
I'm not trying to, also not to be that girl, but like I barely have a period, so
well,
there's not enough nutrients.
There's not a lot of scientific articles about this.
Imagine how horrible this woman's plants smell.
People
it's
were
just
talking
iron.
You have to mix like a lot of water with it, so it's a very trace amount.
It doesn't matter if you're doing it all the time. Your plants smell like
you can only do it once a month. But
not if you conserve it.
But there's also diseases that can be carried through your blood too.
Yeah, you're gonna give your plants AIDS.
Yeah, if it's an edible plant, maybe it's not a good idea to put your blood into the water.
This just seems unsanitary and like weird and gross. I'm sorry. Like, I know there's like girls out there who are probably like, no, it's nature. Like, you're one with nature, and it's just gross. Like handling period blood.
Yeah.
After it's come out of your body, it's like, it doesn't smell good. We don't know how sanitary it is. It's also mixed with all the other shit in your puss. Like, ew.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I just had to tell someone. Because obviously when you look it up, there's a lot of like blog posts and
posts.
What?
Clot posts. Damn it.
You didn't have it.
I just
let it go.
Okay,
there's a lot of like blogs and stuff that's not super scientifically backed
No, of course not.
promotion of this. I found one article from an actual news source where they actually talked about like what the pros maybe could be, but then a bunch of cons and like what is going on. I don't know where I was going with this, but it's just like an interesting, very small movement, I guess.
You know what? If you want to do it, if you want to free bleed into your plants, who am I to stop you?
Do not free bleed into your plants.
I free bleed into my pants. So
don't just put raw blood.
I think we
plants.
should free bleed into our pants and make it everyone else's problem until pads and tampons are free. I truly, truly believe that.
The type of people that would get behind you in that are like not the people you want to hang out with. I don't know.
Come on, girlies.
Well, they have those period panties where you can bleed into them and they're supposed to somehow absorb.
All of my panties are period panties.
Okay, stop.
I'm kidding.
I guess if you did this, you would have to be using a Diva cup. You would have to be using a cup, menstrual cup.
Oh, for the plants?
Yeah. To collect the blood. But one girl I saw on Reddit, she wears the menstrual panties. She says she wrings it out. And
Girls, stop.
I'm sorry.
At a certain point, like, enough is enough.
But, you know, maybe
I love
that's
being a woman, but this is disturbing.
Maybe that's what some of our ancient human ancestors were just walking around bleeding on plants and shit.
I don't know. Let's go ask them.
Okay. Maybe if we do enough mushrooms, we can ask them.
Yeah, I will not be partaking in this activity, I think.
I won't either. You're looking at Frankie like maybe she could help benefit.
She's looking a little crusty.
Yeah, we need to repot her.
Yeah.
But I just thought I'd share.
If anybody else has any other really good tips about fiddly figs, please leave them in the comments.
Yeah. We're not willing to use our blood.
We don't want to
at this point in time.
It's not even my time.
It's my time.
Ew, get out. Get in the tent, you whore. All right, you ready for a little story time?
Yeah, story time.
Okay, let's do story time.
Sorry for the gross thing I shared.
No, it's
last minute trigger warning, blood.
It's very interesting. Last minute. If you didn't like any of what happened before, sorry.
We already warned you.
We warned you in hindsight.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. So the story I have for you today is coming from the subreddit Am I the Asshole? It's from 4 years ago. The title is Am I the Asshole for walking out of the airport when I saw my husband's mom standing there with her luggage? I, female 30, don't have the best relationship with my husband's mom. Since day one, she tried to make remarks and compare me to her. Then she tried to get on my good side and started overly praising everything I do and sometimes even copying me, like that one time when she literally dyed her hair purple just like mine.
Oh.
And when everyone pointed out how ridiculous she looked, she actually blamed me and accused me of trying to make a joke out of her. So, anyways, my husband and I took 2 weeks off work to go visit some places out of the country, tourism in other words. Thing is, I was the one who saved up for and arranged for the trip. My husband was responsible for booking the tickets. My husband's mom wanted to come along and threw a temper tantrum when I said no. She called, texted, and sent people to talk to me and into letting her come. Even threatened to call the police and make some complaint up to get us to stay if she can't come. My husband said we should just take her, but I told him he was wrong to tell her about the trip in the first place. He gave me an ultimatum, said he wouldn't go if she can't come, and I told him I'd gladly call his bluff, which made him take his words back and say, fine, I will tell her to stop it because we won't take her. Things got quieter, suspiciously quieter. The day of the trip came and we got to the airport at 2 p.m. My husband was walking ahead of me and was looking left and right like he was looking for someone. I asked him, but he didn't respond. He led me to the waiting area, and the first thing I saw was his mom standing there with her luggage. I froze in my spot. I felt a cold wave rush over me, and I was fuming inside. She and my husband were hugging. That's when I quietly turned around and started walking towards the exit. My husband followed me while shouting at me to stop. He tried to stop me, but I told him in the harshest way possible to let me go. He tried to say I was overreacting and that his mom was there anyway, and I should just let it go and not mess the trip up for us. I told him he and his mom could still go and that I was going home. I went home and sobbed into my dog's fur for several minutes. Turned out he booked her a ticket without me knowing. An hour later, he came home yelling and raging about how pathetic and spiteful I was to walk out and go home and ruin the trip last minute. I told him he caused this to happen. He said I was being so hard on his mom, it's ridiculous. I refused to fight anymore, but he kept on berating me and then called my family to tell them that the trip was canceled and that it was because of me. My family said that I shouldn't have ruined it for myself and I should have sucked it up and done my best to enjoy. Did I really overreact?
What the fuck is, can there be one person that is reasonable here and it's like, girl, you're not overreacting? Like her own family and then him and his mom and his whole family.
Why is this woman acting like a literal child? Like she's like, you have to let me go. You have to let me go. If you don't let me go, I'm gonna call the police and make you stay here, and I'm gonna call everyone and make me go. It's like, why do you even want to go on a trip where you're not wanted?
That is such creepy behavior. Also, like the fact that she paid for the trip pisses me off.
The fact that like he's like, you ruined the trip at the last minute. Bitch, you ruined the trip at the last minute by telling your mom to meet us at the airport and didn't tell me anything.
Yeah, that's a really big betrayal because that means they were secretly plotting and planning for her to surprise them at the airport, surprise this woman at the airport and be like, oh, you can't do anything now. Tickets already booked. We're already packed. Like, you just kind of have to go along with it. And like, no, you don't.
Like, you knew
is she gonna
share
the is she gonna share a hotel room with you guys too? Because like he booked his mom a ticket. It says so. I'm assuming he paid for it. Didn't pay for their trip. Like, why are you financially contributing to your mom going and not you going?
Why are you doing any of this when you know like your wife doesn't want her there? You've already had this big explosion fight of insaneness over it, and then you're still gonna go around. What? Why can't you just be like, okay, I'm gonna go on this trip with you, and then Mom, you and I can go on a trip another time together?
Yeah.
Why does she have to be there?
I don't know.
Also, the dyeing your hair purple.
I think she's like weirdly obsessed with her son.
Obviously.
Because, yeah, why did you want the same wacky hair color as your daughter-in-law?
And then you're like, you made me look like an idiot. Why would you dye your hair purple and not a regular color so I can dye my hair a regular color? It's
yeah,
like,
we could have gone blonde together. Why did you do this?
Like, nobody asked you to fucking be a single white female.
Do you remember when you dyed your hair green?
I do. Please don't bring it up. It's a rough time.
Okay. I had a phase where I thought I might want to dye my hair purple. Like, my Tumblr and Pinterest was like full of girls with purple hair.
Yeah.
That should have been the point where I thought maybe I'm a little gay. I don't
what
have
are you trying to say about me? Because I went through with it.
Green is not a gay color to dye your hair. I feel purple is. Purple and pink.
I take offense to that. I kissed a woman before you did.
Okay, sorry.
Damn.
You had a boyfriend when you dyed your hair green, so.
And then he broke up with me because of it.
Okay, I don't know if that's why.
That was one of the reasons.
He said that?
No, I found out in a different way. This is some
Okay.
tea. I found out by doing some sleuthing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We can't talk here. Email me.
Email you?
Have you seen people say that?
No, I mean,
we can't talk here. Email me.
it was weird because I was like, I can literally just tell you when we stop recording.
Okay, yeah. That's what that implies.
Okay. I don't want people to know what I did to get this information.
Anyways, yeah, obviously this woman is not overreacting. That is like a
No.
huge violation of her marriage, and
I'm not even mad at the mom, honestly. Like, she's crazy. She's going to be crazy. I'm mad at the husband.
Me too. I think your partner needs to be in your corner. And it's kind of goes back to that thing we've talked about before, where it's like sometimes moms have a weird relationship with their sons where there's like some sort of like enmeshment, like a possessive claim over their son, and sons let their moms do what their moms are going to do because that's my mom.
Yeah,
and
they're like, mommy still comes first. And it's like, you're not going to raise a family with mommy.
Yeah.
Once you have a wife, like, that has to be your new priority, unfortunately.
This is why everyone should just go to therapy, honestly.
Yeah, or don't get married if you want to have this weird relationship with your mom.
It's very reasonable to want to go on like a one-on-one trip with your husband and it just be the two of you.
Yeah. Well, and it looks like they were going to visit her family.
Oh. Strange.
Because afterwards he called her family to tell them the trip was canceled and it was because of her.
Oh, okay. I just thought he was just like narking on her.
Yeah, I mean, that could also be the case, but I don't understand why you would even involve her family if they weren't a part of the trip at all. I have no idea.
Yeah, that's
maybe
weird.
It was just the two of them. My husband and I took 2 weeks off work to go visit some places out of the country. Tourism, in other words. Thing is, I was the one who saved up for and arranged the trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're going out to all these different countries. It's really romantic and like it's this whirlwind of stuff. And then it's like, adventure. Oh, and my mom's coming.
Yeah, that's strange. I bet she expected to stay in the same fucking hotel room too. Like I don't.
Okay, if your mom's coming, then guess what? You're not getting a single inch of puss.
A single inch?
Yeah. Okay.
We should do. You know how guys talk are like, how many inches are you? We should be doing that for our.
Yeah. How many inches deep are you?
I bet it varies.
Right? It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, the top comment on this one with 82,000 upvotes is, I don't want to call the divorce card, but divorce. You told your boundaries. You said no. She crossed it. Your husband told you he would tell her no. He lied. He tried to pin you in a corner by not saying anything and bringing her anyways and got upset where you refused to be part of his little trap and then to berate you. He's not a good man. He needs to go, not the asshole.
I definitely can see how this relationship is not working, and that divorce is definitely an avenue that the writer might want to pursue. I think it might be worth trying to do therapy. Like, he might not even be aware of how enmeshed and inappropriate his relationship is with his mom. Not that that is an excuse or that anything he did was okay. But I would at least be like, you need to work through this issue separately in therapy. We need to go to couples therapy. Like, and if we cannot work through this issue and you cannot set healthy, normal boundaries with your mother, like, then there's not really a future here.
I don't know. I feel like at this point with this many years of experience.
How many years?
I don't know how long they've been married.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's worth a shot to try to work through.
Well, it looks like this is a pattern that's come up a lot, even with the purple hair thing. It's like, do you even want this woman in your life at all?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. It's a very isolating situation because the person that has vowed to sort of be by your side and in your corner for the rest of your life is not showing up very well and filling that role. So... Yeah, I don't know. Divorce or like separation and many years of therapy.
I would divorce this man. I'm sorry. I just feels like it's too much.
I don't even think you would make it that far.
No.
Into
this woman did
a relationship with.
She did respond to that comment and said, correct, I did say no and in the nicest way, but she was having none of it. Seeing my husband give in to her tantrums made me feel weaker, but I still kept trying to hold that boundary even after he himself said he wouldn't unless she go. It was stressful and very exhausting, and I really considered canceling way earlier, but tried harder because I really wanted this trip. And someone replies to that and says, he chose his mother over you. It will never get better. Time to get a lawyer. And a big F you to anyone who told you to suck it up and make the best of it.
Yeah, I agree. Also, like, now this woman's 2-week vacation is fucked up. She's probably already requested the time off.
Yes.
Like, I hope she did something fun on her own or like with a girlfriend or something to make up for this like ruined thing. You can't get refunds for a lot of the shit, like flights, hotels. Like, that really sucks.
No, I think, yes, therapy could be an option, but when I think about like someone doing that to me, and then every time I picture walking into the airport and seeing that, I don't know if I could ever get past that. Like, maybe I could forgive them eventually, but I don't know if I could get past ever trusting them again.
I guess it's just a matter of how much are you willing to work through this issue with this person. Obviously, if things are not going to change, you need to leave, but I don't know if this person's really important and there's some redeeming qualities and you love them and they're willing to put in work and reestablish trust with you. I wouldn't say like you have to end it all, but it would require a lot of intentional work and years.
It would require a lot of work on
years
his
of
side.
work. Yeah.
And it's like, that's the thing. Do you want to spend years and years having to deal with this guy and he might not actually do it? He seems to have a really strong hold on his mom, or she has a strong hold on him. We do have an update for this one.
Okay.
So we can see what she decides to do.
Yeah.
All right, here's the update. Hello. I don't know where to begin. It's been an absolute nightmare recently, and I feel like I was losing my sanity. So for more details about my situation, I have to admit that my husband's mom favors him over all his siblings. This affected his relationship with them and me as well. He's never seen an issue with how differently his mom treats him. It bothered me and made me feel uncomfortable. The whole dynamic made me feel uncomfortable. Going low contact has never been an option, like he has to see her or call her every day. Most of his siblings don't talk to him, and I 100% believe it's because of his mom's favoritism, like I said. He does bear some blame for not seeing how wrong this is till this day. In many instances, I found myself making excuses for his behavior, even in my post. I did it spontaneously, and I don't know why. But I guess it's because of how much I love him and because I really, really wanted to be able to work this type of things out. Girl, that's how I know it's a real person and not AI. Without letting them affect our marriage. Regarding what happened on the trip, he tried to have a talk with me, and most of what he said came from a place of blame. Blame towards me. I just couldn't continue with this argument. I told him I needed space and that I would be going to stay with my sister for a while. He didn't take it well. He literally got up from the couch and opened the door, telling me to go right then. In that moment, and seeing how he was still not even anywhere near understanding what he has done, just made things perfectly clear to me. I just had pictured years and years of my life being lived like that, and I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't take any more of it, especially when he keeps focusing on being right every time. His mom can do no wrong. I'm always the aggressive, crazy, jealous, pathetic overreactor. All these people's opinions, advice, and concerns were like a spark, like the wake-up call I really needed, though I wish that I didn't need to get this far, but what's done is done. Right now, I'm staying with my sister. I brought my dog with me as well. Yay. He sent me his last message telling me I'm the one choosing to end what we had together, but I believe it's the other way around, especially with how he keeps making his mom the victim in this situation. It's become clear now that we keep going in circles with no end in reach, but I'm just so exhausted and overwhelmed. I'm not mad at him, and I don't expect him to change, but at least I'm given options to decide what's best for me and my future, even if it's separation and divorce. A big thank you to those who reached out with resources that I feel very, very lucky to have come across. I just wanted to give you an update since many of you asked for it.
Well, I'm glad she's doing what she needs to do to take care of herself.
Yeah, it's really sad that he, there's no apology or any, anything from him, accountability for his part in this.
There's like probably some really weird psychological effect of him being the favorite child since he was born, I guess, and always being on the receiving end of that favoritism. It's like, yeah, of course you're loyal to your mom. You're like her favorite, and that you can do no wrong in her eyes. So
he needs to get away from her. Sorry.
Yeah.
If this continues, it's going to ruin every single relationship he has going forward. I don't know if this couple is still together. Obviously, we don't get that information, but it's like, this woman, your mom, is going to ruin all of your relationships if you keep letting her, because she needs to be like the number one in your life, and nobody wants to be second to mommy.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just like, ew.
I wonder if his siblings, if he has other brothers, or if they're all girls.
Maybe. That's interesting. It just said siblings, so maybe it's a mixture.
Yeah.
Maybe he's the baby or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe he looks the most like his dad. I don't know.
Yeah. For some reason, he's the golden boy.
Yeah. Probably because he was the most receptive to whatever weirdness she put out there.
Yeah, it's sad because it's just sad.
It's so sad. And you know what? If there's boy moms out there listening, please don't be like this. Like, why? I don't understand people who are like this. It's like, get your own life, you know?
After like dealing with multiple kids, after they're finally all out of the house and grown up, I imagine I would be like, finally some fucking peace and quiet. I don't have to like
find a hobby,
be the main character, because when you're a mom, you're like the main person in your child's life for a long time, and then that chapter ends, and I know that can come with grief of like, oh, my kid is grown up, they are doing their own thing, I'm not like God to them anymore. You know, you have to deal with that. But I think you can find beauty and joy in that next chapter too, and not make it weird for your kids to have normal, healthy adult relationships.
Absolutely. Or go join a book club, join a sports club of some kind, like meet other people, get friends, like have your own social life. I think it's really unhealthy to have your whole world revolve around one person.
It's true. Even just your partner as well. And
don't make your son your partner.
Yeah.
It sounds like her husband is gone.
I don't know.
Because, like, where's
that might add to the dynamic of it, too.
Yeah.
And everyone should just go to therapy.
Go to therapy,
because maybe if this guy had gone sooner, it would have helped not get to this level of extreme.
I know. Ugh.
But he has to be willing to have the image of his mom completely shattered.
Wow.
And not a lot of people are willing to have that happen to them.
No, I guess not.
Anyways.
Well,
do you want to introduce our guest for this week?
I do want to introduce our guest for this week. So our guest this week is a radio person. He's a comedian. He's a former Mormon. He has lived in both Alaska and Hawaii.
Oh.
Which, you know, those are the two states that aren't even connected.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
Former witness protection program.
He is the best storyteller I've ever seen in my life. I'm not sure if anything he says is true, but it's really interesting.
Yeah.
We also have the same birthday.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Supposedly, right?
Yeah, if it's true. This is a comedian from here in Houston, not from Houston, but based in Houston. So funny, and we are so happy we got to have him on the podcast today. So please give it up for Steve Cantwell.
Life's a bitch, Hannah's gay, Tess got too many bills to pay, so they get together with Lily May and ask each other what mom say. They ask each other what mom say.
Okay, what is it you wanted to tell us?
Nothing. If it doesn't come up, it doesn't come up.
What?
I was going to talk about things I didn't want to talk about, but I can just handle that if that should come up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If there's any door that we're starting to open, you can close it.
Yeah, it's not live, so.
Yeah, you don't have to speak it into existence. Also, if there's like a name you want bleeped out, we can bleep that out. I know you've dealt with criminals in the past.
Yeah.
So what's your deepest, darkest secret?
My deepest, darkest secret? I don't know that I have very many secrets.
Okay.
An open book, you would
Yeah,
say?
yeah, I'm pretty much an open book. There are a few things that I don't talk about with everybody. There's a few things in my life I keep separate. Work.
Can you go into graphic detail on those things with us? So, Steve, welcome to our podcast.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Tell us about your Mormon mom.
That's probably the number one adjective I would use to describe her as Mormon. Yep.
Well, you also said that she was a survivor and brilliant and loving.
That is true. She's been my mom my whole life.
Yeah.
And we grew up in this little mountain town in Utah, in northern Utah, that our families colonized, I guess, back in the 1800s. So
you've been there for a long time.
A long time. Yeah, our families started that little town. And so we grew up in that little town. I lived just doors away because it was a massive family farm that had been broken down to individual building plots over the course of 100-something years. We lived in close proximity to everybody in our family because it was like it had been one giant farm. The 20 families or so that fought the Indians and had the big, Indian fort in the middle of town, and that eventually won that fight.
Yeah.
They basically split the valley up amongst themselves, and so.
Are Mormons pro-gun?
I think you had to be pro-gun back then, otherwise you were pro-dead,
So how many people live in this town? Like when you were growing up, how many people were there?
10,000.
Wow, that's really small.
Yeah.
Okay.
Went to the same elementary, junior high, and high school that everybody in my family had gone to for the last 6 generations, And my parents grew up around the corner from each other. My dad went on a Mormon mission to New York, and when he came back, he started dating my mother and married her.
Yeah, I've heard about the Mormon mission. It's basically like what Christians do in Africa, right? They're like trying to spread the good word.
Yeah,
convert people.
But super strict. Like, you don't decide where they send you. They teach you a new language most of the time.
New York is a completely different language, for real.
Yeah. Well, he lucked out. But I have brothers that went to Korea and South America and places. So
Did you do one?
I owned a disco for a little while at the formative age when I was supposed to be going on a mission. And then when that failed and I lost all of the money I'd been saving on this Mormon disco, I went to Alaska to work as a nanny and on the radio, and to try to earn all that money back so that I could afford a Mormon mission, which costed at the time about $10,000.
I don't think anyone has ever said that sentence.
I feel like
most Mormon disco to nanny and a radio host in Alaska. That's a wild ride.
I think most of the sentences I've heard Steve say over the year, I would never hear come out of somebody else's mouth. I'm gonna be honest.
What do you mean by Mormon disco?
So when I was in high school, I worked in radio because my dad was in radio. He was kind of famous in radio in our little town. So he got me a job working on the radio when I was in high school. So as soon as I could drive, I realized that I could make money being a DJ at different schools. Different schools would hire me to go be a DJ for their prom or whatnot, and then the college kids would hire me because I could just promote it forever on my radio show. So that went really well, and I made a lot of money doing that when I was in high school. And then when I graduated high school, I was like, I'm going to just put all these speakers and lights together and put like a discotheque together. This was 1987 is
Like
when I
Mormon
tried this the first time.
Footloose.
Yeah, no alcohol.
I was about to say, like, that's
Yeah.
probably why it didn't work out in the end.
Yeah, nobody drinks, and nobody fucks. So you're just, I don't know what anybody's even there for, just to.
Yeah, nobody really just wants to wiggle their body around and not.
That's not true, because our mom specifically wanted to start a business where it was like a women's only space that was just for dancing. No alcohol.
No men, no alcohol. But
Lesbian bar. A dry lesbian bar. Call it the dry hole.
you know what? She should have called it the dry hole. I think it would have taken off there.
Yes.
No, but I don't think that's a common thing.
That's true.
It's for people to want that.
Yeah.
Usually people are like, if I'm going to dance, I need to be fucked up because I'm so ashamed.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's all preamble to licking some stranger's butthole, you know. So it's just
Yeah,
like,
that's usually where dancing ends up, is in a butthole.
yeah. So, but not in Utah, not the way we did it, you know.
No. Was soaking like a big thing in your community?
It was people did it.
Okay.
People did anal before they did soaking.
Okay, so that's like how Christians too are like.
Yeah,
do it. They're like,
it's a weird logical path that you can go if you're.
It's so crazy because like that's the thing that normal people are like, let's save that for years down the line when we need to spice it up. Like that's like the last thing that you do, and religious people are like, that's the first thing I'm gonna do.
We're
so
gonna
God
go
doesn't smite me.
straight to inviting a third person in here, or straight to
Yeah.
anal.
I never did any of that. I never soaked or did anal. I just.
Congratulations.
I just made out. I've dated a girl for a couple of years and basically just made out with her the
Okay.
whole time. Never had sex with her.
That's cute. I feel like people don't do that anymore.
Yeah. And it revved me up to such a point that as soon as I left Utah for the first time, first girl I met in that Eskimo village basically went to the radio station and closed the door behind her and took off her clothes and chased me around. You know, could just basically smell the pheromones on me from rubbing around the outside of my high school girlfriend for the last 2 years. So whatever catnip she smelled, maybe it was my return ticket home from the Eskimo village that I had in my pocket. But something about that drove her into a breeding frenzy. And she was, for weeks, she would just show up because I worked in the evenings. I worked during the day as a nanny. And then in the evenings, I worked at this Eskimo radio station in an Eskimo village.
Maybe she was ovulating.
Couldn't have been for the whole
For
time
weeks?
I knew her.
She might have also been in a similar predicament, being like in a small town, and she's like, fresh meat is here.
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
playing 2D chess. You know, she had a very simple monochromatic plan on how to get out of that Eskimo village, a tried and true thing.
I think there's something too to a guy who's like raised in a very like strict religion or like something like that certain girls are like, oh, like I'm gonna show him what the world is, basically. Like they like that.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
She tricked me. She over the course of.
She tricked you.
Yes. Oh, because literally for 2 weeks she would come over and like take her clothes off and ask me to touch her, and I would and I would not, and so I wouldn't do it. She would literally chase me around the radio station, but she was most people would be deterred by one episode of that, but she would come back day after day. And I'm not made of steel.
Well, after that, that's like you're getting into like a weird
Persistence hunting.
assault territory.
If a man did that to a woman, it would be jail. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
chasing you around naked. Okay, so what did your mom tell you about dating and sex and all of that growing up? Was it just like, don't do it till you get married, or?
Yeah. That was the whole plan. And that's what everybody I knew did.
She never like gave you like any other details about what a marriage should be or how dating should be at all?
Well, you know, they very carefully moderate all that through church. So you have a young men's program, and they just basically instill the expectations for fathers to young men and mothers to young women. So she was a product of that process, and I was also a product of that process. You don't masturbate. They bring you into an office and ask you if you've been masturbating twice a year. You have to look your bishop in the eye and profess the fact that you've not been masturbating. And the first few times they ask you if you've been masturbating, you don't know what they're talking about. And they're like, okay.
Oh my God, yeah, what age do they start doing that?
12.
Okay. Still, though, that's a crazy thing.
It's a crazy thing.
Is that
Well,
the word they use, or they say something else?
Have
Have you been sinning?
They don't put too much of a spin on it. They don't say, they don't use the Catholic colloquialism, which is interfering with yourself, or
I've actually never heard that.
Really?
No, I haven't heard that.
It's all Frank McCourt novels. Everything I know about Catholicism, I learned from Angela's Ashes. But yeah, they just ask you, you've been masturbating. And the first few times I had masturbated, I didn't know I had been masturbating.
You're like, I don't have the vocabulary for what I'm doing, but I'm doing something.
Yeah.
It's great. I don't know if you guys have heard of this.
But I rub my dick on the curtains in the living room when nobody's at home. I don't understand the feelings I'm having. But
Did you ever get caught doing this?
rubbing my dick on the curtains?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't really do that.
Okay,
But,
Okay.
but you do weird things when nobody gives you any, that's the problem with not giving your kids any birds and the bees talks, is you unlock this whole kinky weirdness that could have just been saved by just somebody sitting me down and explaining to me about the feelings that I was having, versus me gotta fuck all the empty toilet paper rolls in our
Like you're in prison.
Yeah, it's just out of curiosity, the things you get up to when you're just.
Yeah, I think a lot of parents do a disservice to their kids by not just being like, hey,
Don't
this
fuck the
shit
toilet
is
paper
normal,
roll.
but that
Yeah.
is like something you don't do in the other rooms of the house. That is a private moment between you and yourself, and
Yeah.
don't do it to other people.
I remember
Basically.
when I was in about second grade, I was at my grandparents' house. We were all watching TV, and I must have heard something at school, because I asked my grandparents. I was like, because I was spending the night at their house, and I was like, can I sleep between you and Grandpa when I sleep over tonight? And my grandma was like, sure. And I was like, well, then how are you guys gonna fuck? and they just,
How old were you?
second grade. I'd heard something.
Oh my God. You're
And-
like, that's such a weird trick question to ask
Yeah.
someone.
Well, then how are you gonna fuck Grandma?
Yeah. So my grandpa took me down to the basement. It was like, don't say that. Here's what you say instead. You say have family relations.
That's not even the problem, in my opinion.
Yeah.
No, you shouldn't be asking your grandparents about their sex life.
Stephen has something to ask you.
That's crazy.
Family relations. It sounds incesty.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit yucky.
Sounds like court.
Is
Yeah.
there arranged marriages in Mormonism?
No,
Okay.
not really.
Okay.
Yeah, my parents got married when they were young. My mom was 20 when she had me, which is pretty young,
Extremely young.
And then I was the oldest of 4, and she just had kids. Bang, 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 bang.
How did her and your dad meet?
They grew up around the corner from each other. They had literally known each other their whole lives. He was about 4 years older than her, so I don't think they actually went to high school together. But yeah, he was very much aware of her. My grandpa, her dad, was in a Mormon town. There aren't really town drunks, but there are people that struggle with alcohol. He'd come back from the Korean War, kind of messed up from some stuff that he'd done and seen in Korea. And every now and then he would fall off the wagon. Sometimes it would be years in between times. Sometimes it would be months between times. But so he had a very conspicuous, he would wander around town and talk to people, when he was drunk. And so my dad absolutely was aware of her family. So, but she was pretty, and he married her. He was a theater person. He wanted to go to be an actor, and so they went to a very serious theater college. And my dad got his master's degree in fine arts from a theater college, while she basically just had kids as fast as she could in student housing.
She didn't go to school.
Didn't go to school, but very much helped him go to school. Like, help write papers, all kinds of stuff.
Okay. So she at least knew how to read and write.
Yeah, very smart. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, very smart. Was the kind of person that she was the oldest of like 8 kids.
8.
Yeah.
Wow. Big family.
Yeah.
That's really big. And then you said they got divorced later in life?
They got divorced in the 70s, when nobody got divorced, especially in Utah. Like in my I was probably 80s, 81, 82. It was going bad the whole time, as long as I could remember. But it came to an end when I was in middle school, and I was the only person in my middle school whose parents were divorced. I had to explain to my friends what it meant. They were like, "What do you mean they're not married anymore? What is that?" He goes away and he gets a different house and a different family. And I was like, I don't know. I guess so. You just like, we were like tip of the spear when it comes to divorce. They should have gotten divorced. They fought all the time.
Did she initiate this, or did he initiate it? Or they were like both like, okay.
He initiated it. She loved him and adored him and would have stayed with him forever. I think that he probably subconsciously, who knows, he was like 25 and secretly wanted to be an actor. He didn't want 4 little boys, that the plan was that they were going to wait. But he claimed that she would like flush her birth control pills down the toilet.
Okay.
So she kind of that may or may not be true, but that's what he told me. But
it's a wild thing to say to your kid.
But the effect, oh God. Well, they didn't know when you got a divorce. Nobody understood about scorched earth and how it damages the kid. So it was just full on character assassination from both of them, trying to win us onto their side. And it was, kind of a nightmare.
Did they have like dual parent
custody?
Custody. Sorry, you think I would know that?
So my mom got custody at first.
Okay.
And he went to go live. We stayed in the house that they had built on property that was around the corner from my grandparents' house. And he taught theater at the high school across the street from that house. And so we would see him all the time because we lived in a house that he'd built right across the street from his work. And
was he like, hey?
Yeah, we would see him every day.
You
Yeah.
just saw him walking around.
No, we would see him every day. And he was tormented by the fact that he had basically made the decision to walk away from his sons. And he was, even though he was right around the corner and we saw him all the time, I'm sure that was like heart-wrenching for him, and also wild for my mother, because no one had ever been divorced before, and it's quite a stain at that time, and you're living in a town where everybody knows you and you just feel so conspicuous, and now you're like set adrift with no means of income besides child support and things like that. So she got the house and he had to buy her a car and stuff like that. But
did she start working after that? Like, what did she do to...
So she immediately did not work. She immediately was like, I think kind of like, fuck you, I'm just as good as you, and immediately went to college. So she just like, I don't even know how. College wasn't expensive then like it is now, but like somehow found a way, got scholarships and grants and, no loans, but somehow ended up going to college right there in that same town that they had gone to, that had that theater school. So she went to the same university that my dad had graduated from. And
she's like, I already wrote the essays for these classes.
Yeah.
So I got this.
So we just kind of lived poor while she went to college she got her bachelor's degree in about 3.5 years, straight A's, and then got her master's degree in a year and change, and so graduated, magna cum laude, and got a job as a teacher, which is exactly what he was doing. So in some ways was like, probably subconsciously just like, fuck you, I can do anything that you can do.
Anything you can do, I can do better.
Yeah.
What did she teach?
She taught elementary school, 5th grade mostly.
Okay, so you cover every subject.
Yeah. And she's very, very smart, and very, very determined and very organized, and just a successful person in that way. Both of my parents got remarried. She married a guy that had recently gotten a divorce that she had met at a group that the Mormon church had set up for divorced people. And at that point, in the valley of 100,000 people, there were like 30 people that had gotten a divorce, and they had all gotten a divorce like that year.
Wow.
So it was just like this new epidemic, and they met each other, and her husband, Fred, they've been married for like 40 years or something like that now. More maybe. And very happy. He's kind of everything that she wanted in a husband, pays her a lot of attention, is just her constant companion and her best friend. And my dad married a woman. My dad married somebody who was much younger, much younger, and the older sister of the girl that I had a crush on in middle school.
Oh no.
She was, I think my stepmother is 5 years older than me or something like that. Just some bananas.
Okay.
Yeah. So he married her. He'd been in a high school for a year or something like that, and had been one of his students.
Okay.
But they are both so Mormon that I don't think there was anything going on. Just knowing her and knowing my dad, they were probably not fooling around.
There were some looks, maybe.
There was a countdown clock somewhere.
Who knows?
Yeah.
That's wild.
That is wild.
But she was a very good spouse to him. He got in a car accident 5 years later and was paralyzed. And was paralyzed for the last 5 years of their marriage, and she took care of him, remodeled the house so that they could have 24-hour nursing, and accommodate the forklift basically that it took to shower him and stuff like that. So, and she's still very close to. They had one child and a daughter, and so I'm still very close to her, very close to my little sister.
Did they stay? They stayed in Utah?
My mom or my dad?
Your dad.
They stayed in Utah in the little town that we grew up in.
Yeah. And your mom left, right?
My mom left. She moved after she graduated. She felt like she was kind of living, my uncle was the superintendent of schools, and so she was felt like she couldn't get a fair shake as far as getting a job. She looked and tried to get a job in the little town because she wanted to have us be able to stay around our aunts and uncles and grandparents, but she just couldn't get they kind of blackballed her, I think, or she feels that they did.
So it was your dad's brother who was the superintendent?
Dad's uncle who was the superintendent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Reverse nepotism.
Something, yeah. And people didn't understand about coexisting after divorce at that time. They treated it like it was, the surrender of a vanquished army or something like that. Just, to the victor go the spoils, and you just do what you do. So she moved to Idaho, which is pretty close, still a couple hours away. Moved to Idaho and got a teaching job, and I did not follow her. I stayed in Utah.
How old were you?
16, I think. I was making a lot of money because of my disco business and the radio station job, and I could afford an apartment, and so I stayed in the apartment for a while, and then after she moved to Idaho, I stayed in that big house of ours across the street from the high school my last year of high school, which was party central, a little bit.
Where did your little brothers go?
with her to Idaho.
Okay. So you're the only child she had that stayed behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a difficult child to raise. You know, I gave her a lot of problems when I was growing up. You know, did a lot of dumb.
Can you give us an example?
I was just constantly fighting with people, and I was a bit of a criminal at one point in time, you know.
Is this when you were sneaking into people's homes?
Yeah.
Okay, can you tell our audience about that?
A little bit about it. You know, about the time of my parents' divorce, I was very unhappy, I think. And I sort of wanted to see where the edges of the world were, in a way. And so was just kind of wanting to see, I guess, trying to measure myself against
See what
fear.
boundaries you can get away with.
And about whether or not I dare do things that are scary, and just if I'm a coward. And that's, you know, I was at that age when I'm trying to see who I am, you know. And my dad had said that people sleep with their doors unlocked in this little town. I'd heard people say that for years, and I had insomnia at this time in my life, so I would sneak out of my bedroom window and just wander around this little town called Smithfield, Utah, where I knew most of the people on my little walks were distant relatives of mine, so it was like kind of safe environment. But I would just start to think about that statement, people sleep with their doors unlocked, and I would just muse as to whether or not that's true. So I would start to think in my mind, did I dare go up and try a door and see if it was unlocked? And I didn't dare do that, but did I dare walk up their sidewalk at 4 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning? And I would get a rush from just walking up their sidewalk. And then that progressed over years to trying the doorknob and finding out that they were unlocked, to then that doesn't get me as scared after you do that a few dozen times.
Yeah.
So then you open the door a little bit and close it, and that gets your heart going again. So you get addicted to like the adrenaline of doing something scary. So you're trying to ride that roller coaster every night and trying to get your heart rate up, and you have to go further and further every time to get the same dopamine rush. And so eventually you find yourself standing in somebody's living room at 3 o'clock in the morning and listening to the tick of the clock in the wall in the living room, and and you're terrified, but you're like addicted to the terror. And then
did you ever get caught doing this?
Never.
PSA, lock your doors.
Steve will be in your living room tonight.
What made you stop?
So I had taken somebody's...
If you did.
I did stop. I had taken somebody's wedding ring. So there was this guy that scared me, I think because he didn't go to church and he wasn't a member of our family. And his bedroom was really close to so I could see him sleeping from standing in the front doorway, because his house was very small. And he had this weird habit, and I would just watch. I would just observe people and just look around their house and just out of curiosity, and then leave, kind of hoping that they would wake up, because I realized that there was like a few seconds that I would have to get out the door, and they would of course all know who I was, because they would just be like, hey, the Cantwell kid was standing in my living room this morning. I think there might be something wrong with him. Can you go throw a net over him, please?
Might be.
Yeah.
So he had this habit where he would take this big gaudy turquoise watch off and put it on his nightstand, and then he would take his wedding ring off and put it right in the middle of his watch band, so it made a target. So I would just notice that he did that every night. And then so one time I was just like, wouldn't it be funny if he just woke up one morning and his ring was gone out from the target, the bullseye was missing. And so I did that. So I took his ring, and then I had that ring in my room and was telling my little brother what I was doing, and we were laughing about him tearing his house apart.
Oh my God.
And thinking that he had a poltergeist in his house that had stolen his wedding ring. And my brother, though he thought it was funny, did in a quiet moment do the right thing and tell my parents what I had done, and they made me put it back a few nights later.
So you put it back
Just
while he was asleep.
while he was asleep.
So he woke up and he was probably like, "What the fuck?"
Yes.
That's probably fucked with him more than the
He's probably
original.
telling this story right now.
Yeah. Wow.
Let me tell you a story about
Oh
1981.
my gosh. There's also something very symbolic of your parents are fighting all the time and getting divorced, and you're stealing someone's wedding ring out of their bed.
Yeah.
You're like, you don't deserve this.
Yeah.
You don't go to church.
But my
That's
mother was
wild.
horrified, rightly
Yeah.
horrified
Yeah.
of me doing that. Not so horrified I had to go knock on the door and tell him. Just was like,
Yeah.
do the right thing and
Okay.
put it back.
She's like, I don't want another town scandal. Just like figure out a way to fix it type of thing.
Yeah. And then I got therapy for the rest of my life, essentially. You know,
Did your parents like start that for you? They're like, you need to talk to someone?
Yeah. Yeah. And I had done a few other things, just like breaking into cat burglar stuff and taking things. And so they made me turn myself in to the police,
Okay.
thinking that it would fix me. And so
Did you go to jail for that? Or
not jail, like
Yeah.
they did make a big show. I think this was at my dad's behest. They came in and arrested me in algebra one day and took me down to the police station. We're being all tough and like
everyone's like, ooh.
but yeah, and it scared me. You know, I did not want to go on that path. So I was on probation, juvenile probation, for like, I think the rest of the time I was in a young man until I was 18 or so. Which meant you had to go to weekly probation meetings, and then you had to meet all the conditions of your probation. And one of the conditions of the probation, that I had to go to 2 talk therapy sessions every week, and that probably saved my life, because I'm the oldest, and I'm the only one that got therapy after my parents' divorce, and my adjustment with it, I think, is I had a superior curve of adjustment to my parents' divorce.
Were the therapists also a part of the church, or were they?
They were secular, secular as someone can be, you know, in Utah. So they worked not for BYU, but for Utah State University is where I would go for my therapy classes, to their psychology department, and they would have graduate students basically work out on you, give you every possible test. You know, people practice giving you Rorschach tests, and just like, you know, what do you see when you stare at the ink blot, and you know, that kind of thing. So IQ tests out the wazoo, just everything that they think that creates juvenile delinquency or whatever. So yeah.
Did that start to make you question the church itself, going to these talk therapy sessions? Because I know you eventually left.
I never actually left. The thing that still registered as still a card carrying, still know all the handshakes, but
still wear the underwear.
No.
Wait, I don't know about handshakes.
Oh yeah, International House of Handshakes.
Yeah, I don't know this either.
So it's like they teach you handshake. I'm not really even supposed to talk about this.
Okay.
You know what? I'm not going to talk about this.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, if we Google it, I'm sure we'll
Google
find
it.
something.
I made certain promises not to talk about this.
Okay.
And
we don't want your card to get revoked. We'll have Blythe on and I'll ask her.
Yeah, Blythe, she's in the angry phase right now. She's willing to tell you anything.
She dyed her hair.
There's
special handshakes. That's all we know for now. Okay.
So yeah, I'm still a member. I don't go to church anymore. I do pray every day to something. I'm not sure always what, but just because it's a habit that I developed when I was a kid, and it's a hard habit to break. I feel like I can't go to sleep unless I do it, and I feel like I can't start my day unless I do it. So I at least do it twice a day, and sometimes more often if I'm stressed out or freaked out. It seems to center me. But I
think there's a lot of like power in prayer, even if it's not to a specific God or something, like just putting that energy somewhere.
Yeah. And, you know, over the years, I've had every possible opinion about who I'm talking to. Am I talking to God? Am I talking to, some broader sense of, God that you get when you're on psychedelics? Am I talking to my subconscious? Am I talking to space aliens? Am I talking to nothing? So you just, over decades of doing it, you get I was a devout Mormon until I was 40. And I was an elders quorum president, which is kind of clergy member.
Okay. That's like the highest level?
Highest level is the prophet. The elders quorum president is in charge of families in the ward that are like young families with children. So you're responsible to make sure that they're happy and keeping all the commandments and help them out anytime that they need it. So you're just basically ministering to that flock. You kind of preach to them every Sunday in something called an elders quorum meeting, just the men, and just, but yeah, it takes 40 hours a week to do that calling. So it was a big part of my life.
Full-time job.
Yeah. Was this back?
Yeah.
Did you go back to Utah to do this, or?
So at the time that I stepped away from the church when I was 40, I was living in Alaska a second time where I had gone to be in witness protection. I had turned in my business partner for murdering a bunch of people, but the one that they ended up convicting him for was murdering his mother-in-law.
My God.
Yeah. So
How long were you in witness protection?
So it wasn't like federal witness protection. It was the state of Ohio. So it was just like no money. They kind of like colluded with me to sell this dude the other half of my business. And that's kind of how I was funded to go on my adventure. Because they only needed me to be gone for a couple, maybe a year or two is what they said. Because it's not like he was in the mob or something. He was in the military, and they didn't want him to have some friend in a woodpile somewhere that could come threaten me or kill me or get me to change my testimony, because there was no physical evidence. It was just the fact that he had told me all of these very graphic details about how he had waited to kill his mother-in-law and watched her be discovered and stuff like that. Stuff that only the murderer would know. So if I didn't testify, they basically just wasted a bunch of taxpayer money on a capital murder trial that was going to go nowhere.
Oh my God. Did they come to you, or did you
I went
be like,
to them.
Someone should know about this?
Yeah, that's what happened.
That's so disturbing.
So I knew all the details of the murder except for where it happened, and it was the days before the internet. So I hired a private investigator to find out where. I said, here's what he told me. I've called all the private investigators, found the one that was a retired police detective, which a lot of them are, and found a guy that was a police detective. And I said, here, somewhere in the United States, here's the scenario of how she was murdered. And it was unique enough that I thought he might be able to ask around and find it. And he's like, okay, I'll find it. And a few nights later, some detectives from Cincinnati knocked on my door. I was living in Orlando at the time, and knocked on my door and were just like,
How old were you when this happened?
26, 27.
That's crazy.
I would be so scared.
I have 2 kids.
Oh
I've just
my
bought a
gosh.
house,
Yeah.
A few years before.
So did you have to leave your kids behind?
No, but I had to leave my house behind.
Okay.
So I take my kids. I even took my little brother who was working for me at the time. And
all different names.
No, just they gave me something called a Teflon license, which means that no matter what I do in traffic, I couldn't get cited, so that somebody couldn't fine me through traffic court.
Okay.
They helped me set up my utilities so that they weren't in my name, and basically counseled me not to have a checking account, essentially. So I formed a C Corp and had a checking account through that C Corp at the time.
So the government kind of helped you learn how to live off of the grid.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Gave me a 2-minute course on how to. They went into they helped me rent my house out. So, we went into a real estate company, and the district attorney explained, he's going into hiding for a little while, but he'll be back. He won't be able to call you at this time, so we need you to take the mortgage book for his house and rent it out and keep whatever's left over in a bank account for him, but just basically keep it going so that nothing happens to his house while he's hiding. And then the day it dropped into the media, I just like pulled away from my house, watched all these reporters like knocking on the door and stuff like that, and I just pulled away and drove to Alaska. Flew my family up, but then me and my little brother drove.
You drove from Florida to Alaska?
To Alaska, which
That's
is
like the
2-3
longest
weeks.
possible road trip you could do.
You have to go through Canada to get there, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's a
You
lot
have
of
the
it's
craziest life.
some of it's a dirt
what?
road, you know, and it was icy in places.
Started as a criminal, ended as a guy in witness
A
protection.
criminal, an informant. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
What did your mom know about any of this? Like, what did she say?
we
We're
need to
trying
bring
to
it
drag it
back.
back.
Yeah.
Steer it back onto the road.
Yeah.
You just added all this other shit out.
No, I mean it's interesting, but yeah,
But yeah, she knew everything. You know, I told them everything that was going on. Couldn't do anything. I didn't want to go stay with her and make her a target. So I had been to Alaska, and so I suggested it in the meeting. I was just like, how about Alaska? And they looked at each other and they're like
I know a girl up there.
an insistent girl up there.
Still
Yeah.
running around naked.
Yeah.
what drew you to go to Alaska like the first time? Because that's so
So
far.
the
and
radio
cold.
the radio station that I had the radio station job that I worked at from 1984 to 1987 paid me $3.50 an hour for the evening shift that everybody listened to, and the radio station in this Eskimo village, it was like $25 an hour or something like that. So, and they advertised these jobs in the back of radio and records. Yeah. And you think about it, because there's no roads in or out of these Eskimo villages. It's just 600 Eskimos and tundra, hundreds of miles of tundra or frozen ocean in every direction. So who are you broadcasting to? And these giant antennas. And so you think about who is paying for all that. It's got to be the fucking CIA or somebody like that. Because who else cares whether or not National Public Radio gets broadcast into Siberia? Because that's essentially what we were doing. We were broadcasting on AM, which you never see in the lower 48. And NPR is always an FM station. But in AM, which goes far, and then gigantic, like 20,000, 50,000 watt transmitters that are just pumping that shit into Siberia.
The radio freaks me out so much. I can't believe you can like turn to a frequency and hear what that frequency is currently being recorded as, and it just picks it up where you are.
Yeah.
That does not make any sense.
And you can't
to me.
rewind.
Yeah,
and that was and I would say I would have hits amazing shows that were hysterical, and you say something that's really funny, and unless you were listening, that's gone forever. That shit is gone like the wind. It's the ultimate disposable art form.
Like the snow, man. It's out there in the tundra.
It was kind of like your first introduction sort of to comedy and that sort of world.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. First, I was on my dad's radio show. I would play a character on my dad's radio show named Zip Queasy. Long story.
What was Zip Queasy like?
Zip Queasy was just his... I would lure my dad into conversations and lie to him. So when I graduated from... This is a great indication of me and my dad's relationship. So I've always loved telling lies. And when I was...
I know.
When I...
Is any of this true?
You can prove all this.
Okay.
We'll see.
But when I went on my high school trip after I graduated from high school, I drove back into town, went to the radio station, and started telling my dad. I was like, spent the weekend. We met Kenny Loggins, who was at
Oh my God, this is gonna our mom is gonna love this.
Yeah. Who was staying at the Snow King Americana, because we had like all gone up with no reservations on graduation night to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And there were, of course, all of the cheap hotels are long gone. And so the only ones that are left are the very, very expensive hotels in the kind of cater to higher end clientele. So 30 of us pooled our money and got one fancy hotel room in this fancy hotel. And there was a guy that we were trying to buy alcohol, and we weren't quite old enough at that time. I believe you only had to be 18 in Wyoming. So this guy offered to basically buy us alcohol at the alcohol store, and then we started hanging out with him, and then we figured out it was Kenny Loggins that we were hanging out with, and we were having these huge parties.
So Kenny Loggins bought a bunch of kids alcohol
and talked this girl into having sex with me. So this girl named
what?
Irish, yeah,
That's not how I thought that sentence was gonna end.
yeah.
See, this is one of those things where I'm like,
First
I don't
time
know
I'd
if
ever
this
had
one's
alcohol,
true.
first time I'd ever had sex was on that graduation. And she
Thank you, Kenny Loggins.
And for what? But
What does that say?
Oh, charge battery.
Oh, fuck. That's so crazy. It said it was full battery when we plugged it in.
that means poltergeist. That's what that means.
That's okay because the audio's still recording.
Yeah,
so-
that's fine. We have the audio.
Yeah. So let's
You started talking about the CIA and the camera stopped working.
yeah, what's
wonder.
that about?
Yeah.
Are you're like I'm safe now to show my feet because the camera went off?
Well, I'm
can
safe
finally
to
take
be
off
in
my
whatever
shoes.
position, but I have socks on, so I'm safe.
I know there are so many times when I'm like, am I like, do I look weird? Like the way, it gets weird when there's a camera.
It
on
is
you.
weird. Now I feel normal again.
Okay, so Kenny Loggins.
So I rush into the radio station, and my dad's like, no, don't tell me now, tell me on the air, because he can tell it's a good story. So we get on the air, I take him through this whole story, like 20 minutes long, on the radio, broadcast live out to everybody. Leave out the parts about having sex. But, and then he's like, wow, and because Kenny Loggins is the biggest fucking star anywhere at this time, right? So...
Definitely to our mom.
Yeah.
That's like her guy.
Yeah.
So my dad at the end, he goes, "That's amazing." He's like, "Is that true?" And I was like, "No." and he just says, "You're just like your damn mother." And that
On the air?
on the air.
Oh
he
my
says,
God.
"You're just like your damn mother," and then he went to a commercial, and I heard his boss back in the other part of the radio station just fall over on the ground laughing.
Oh my God. Wait, so did you not meet Kenny Loggins?
I did not.
Okay.
I know.
Well,
I was
believe
gonna
the
say
story.
like I was like I don't believe this one because of the sex thing, and you had already told us.
I did have sex.
You did.
I did, and there was
I
a
thought
yeah.
you went to Alaska.
But not
you were
because
like-
Kenny Loggins made someone.
Yeah, no, but I repented of it. But I never did it. But I basically got drunk for the first time, and this chick held me down and did it to me, basically.
Oh my God.
And put, for some reason, gigantic, I've never seen this since, was obsessed with putting huge hickeys all over my body. Like I had been in a terrible fight with a giant octopus. Just like, and like the size of the palm of your hand all over my body.
How did she even do that?
What that mouth do?
Dude, insane.
It suck your whole body actually.
And she was my same age and was suggesting all of these crazy things that we do. She's like, "You want to fuck my ass?" And I was like, "No, I do not want to do that. That sounds
That sounds scary.
horrendous."
Yeah.
That is horrendous too.
But was choking me when I would like advance stuff that you... Kenny Loggins had taught her some dirty shit.
That's wild.
And then showed my dad, like took off my shirt and showed my dad these giant purple hickeys that were all over. I told my dad
He was like, "Nice."
eventually what I had
Dab
done.
me up.
That's kind of spooky, though.
Yeah, that is. That's like a primitive form of cupping,
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
they put the cups on your back. What does that do?
Something with the blood vessels, or I don't know. Nikki has a set of those at home, so she literally cupped herself the other night. I helped her.
Sounds gross.
Yeah. She would open her mouth as wide as it would go and suck as
And
much
put it anywhere
as-
you didn't want it.
and suck on my back You
Did
know?
it ever occur to you to say, hey, I don't like this?
I didn't know. I thought that this was maybe just part of it. It's just, I was like, okay, I guess.
This is why you give your kids like a sex talk.
Yeah.
Yes, this is why you need to talk to your kids about sex, guys.
Kids, let me talk to you about octopus bites.
Yeah, it's
my
not
God.
normal.
Okay, so we do need to wrap up soon because I know
Okay.
you also need to get out of here. But to circle back to your mom, do you have anything you want to like tell us about her? No, we didn't really get too much into
Funny stories about my mom.
Yeah.
So, Mormons, because we don't drink or smoke or have fun of any kind, we mostly travel with each other. So we would travel as a family, go to, just everywhere. Go to Europe. We would always go to Europe and travel places. And one summer we thought we'd have a fun adventure and tour all the concentration camps.
so fun.
And she just made like a rented a van and just started driving. But we had just finished walking through Dachau concentration camp, and it's this very
That's
somber.
the only one I've been to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's you walk and they show you the room and the pictures of the piles of shoes, and then you walk past where the barracks used to be, and then you walk through the crematorium, and there's not like
It's so fucked up. And then there's always, no offense, some Asian person taking like a weird selfie like in front, and you're like, what are you doing? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Like, this
Yeah.
is not the time.
but there's no park rangers or anything like that. You walk through on this kind of self-guided tour, and every hour the movie starts,
Yeah.
in the building. So you're walking
It would be weird for there to be a tour guide.
yeah.
I'm going to say that. I think that's weird.
You don't need a tour guide. It's obvious
Yeah.
to you what you're walking through, and the pictures kind of speak for themselves. And you go through all the places that they showered, and then you're sitting, and there's not even, I don't think there's electricity out there. It's just like this, kind of abandoned buildings, and you're sitting in one of the abandoned buildings and they're ready to start a movie. So I guess there must be some electricity, but it's the middle of summer. Nothing in Europe is air conditioned. Everybody in this dark theater is sitting there waiting for the movie to start, fanning themselves with the literature that they've been picking up about the Holocaust. And we're sitting in there in the movie theater waiting for it to happen. My mother just goes, "Oh, it's like an oven in here."
Oh my God.
And like every head in that theater like turned and stared at my mother to see if she was like joking, if she had like said that to be funny, but she did not say that to be funny. It did not dawn on her at all what she had said.
That's pretty
She
wild.
sounds very innocent.
Yeah. Is she still Mormon?
She's still very Mormon,
Okay.
lives on a ranch up in Idaho, retired, and just living the good life,
Living her best Mormon life.
living the vida loca.
Did she ever give you any was there any phrases she used to say to you guys a lot, or like is there any like advice she gave you growing up that really sticks with you to this day?
Every piece of advice that she gave me was religious advice, very much parroted back to me, the company line as far as the Mormon church goes. So every piece of advice that she gave me was just basically to follow the rules of the Mormon church. Nothing original.
So do you feel like you have like a personal relationship with her outside of the church?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't go to church. The only time I go to church now is when I visit her in the summers, and I go and I'm open with her, and have been open with her all through the years through my doubt, and then, wondering sometimes if there's parts of me that wonder if it's true on a simulation type level. So maybe I signed up for a video game somewhere to LARP being Mormon,
Yeah, I kind of believe in that.
Yeah, so you just like, it doesn't matter what you promise, but that you do what you promised that you would do, or something like that. So, after so many decades of doing this, I've had every thought about that. But I talked to my mom about it all the way through, and some of it made her sad, and she definitely thinks of me as her son that will go to, not hell, but something that Mormons call the Celestial Kingdom, which is where murderers and rapists go because I drink coffee,
Shoot.
Wait, Wait, is there a concept of hell, or is that's it?
So murderers and people that deny the Holy Ghost go to outer darkness, which is the only afterworld that's worse than this.
Okay.
Everything else is much, much better than this.
Okay.
Even
it can't
the worst
get much
place.
worse than this.
This is hell.
They basically say this is. Joseph Smith said if you knew how good the lowest rung of after this is, you would kill yourself to get there.
And
That's
how
a
did
crazy
he
thing
know?
for a spiritual leader to say.
Now everybody have some Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I know. He sounds like Jonestown Massacre
Yeah.
guy.
Wow.
Well, we do need to wrap. Is there anything else you want to part with us and
No.
saying?
That should do it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on our podcast, Steve.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
And
thank you. I
sharing.
feel like we could talk for another 3 hours about your life.
I know. I didn't even get into all the nannying stuff. Maybe we could have you back because I nanny as well. And when Steve first told me he was a nanny for 6 Eskimo children in Alaska, I was like, "You're a liar."
None of them were Eskimo. They were the kids of the teachers that had come there to teach the Eskimo kids. So that I think they were mostly white.
Okay. I feel like that's not what you told me a couple New Year's Eves ago.
Well, I believe I would know who I was the nanny to. I can prove all of this with photographs.
No, it's better to leave it in the air and
Yeah.
like, just pontificate on it. Our listeners can decide what they think it is and is not true.
Yeah.
Better to wonder, does he know Kenny Loggins?
Yeah.
It is, and I think Steve, I think you're like the best storyteller in Houston,
Oh.
hands down.
Thank you.
Yeah, if anyone listening gets a chance to see Steve live, please do. You'll hear like the most insane story you've heard in your life, and you'll be like, "Wow!" You'll cry and laugh.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, yes, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for listening to another episode of What Moms Say. We'll see you next Thursday. Bye. Bye.
Oh, you just animate the last half?